Okay.
And welcome to the Life Career Roadmap for Newcomers, episode number 4. And today we have a special guest from Malaysia, Yishi Chen. And I met Yishi probably last November, December. Yes. And she
Yes.
came to one of workshops that I was facilitating. And it's my pleasure to being here with you and having you sharing your story with us, Ishi. So how are you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. Yourself?
I am good, thank you. Ishi, I know you have been everywhere, not everywhere, but in many places, migrating to many places, not just migrating as moving to a new country, but also migrating careers, jobs, and qualifications. So
Yes.
I'd like to ask you to start off our conversation, asking you what, where are you specifically from in Malaysia?
I come from a small town called Sungai Petani that is located in the state of Kedah.
Mhm,
People normally don't know that place, so I would normally say I come from a place close to Penang Island
mhm.
because people know Penang
Oh,
for the
yes.
food. Yeah.
It's a very tourist space there, right?
Yes.
So is your little town very beautiful as well, like Penang?
It's very small, so it's fairly quiet, but it's about 40 minutes from Penang, so
Mhm.
we get almost everything from Penang. So
Okay.
yeah.
So, and tell me more about your first thought about migration. You know, is the little thought that we have, oh, how would life be outside of this little town? Did you have this kind of thoughts, or you never thought that you'd be moving out of your little town?
Well, since I was a little kid, I always wanted to get out. My family likes traveling, so I used to get to travel on school holidays from city to city in Malaysia, and
Mhm.
I've always enjoyed seeing people living in different places. And so I have set my goal that I was going to get out from the little town since I was
Ah,
probably 8. Yeah.
hey. So,
So,
and what kind of dreams you had leaving the town to go to another place? So you had an idea to a specific idea to a place that you want to go, or just any place?
well, basically just any place because I enjoy new experiences.
Okay.
So, yeah. And I got that opportunity when I got the scholarship after high school to study in Korea. Yeah.
Okay. So let's then talk about this opportunity that you got, a
Yeah.
scholarship to go to Korea to do what?
Um, I was offered a scholarship by the Malaysian government to study chemical engineering.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I did my diploma and then my degree and then my master degree as well, all in Korea.
Mm-hmm.
Um, in Korean language. So it was
Mm.
definitely not the easiest, but it was interesting.
So you got this scholarship to go to Korea. So tell us more how this happened in your life.
So because I was so determined to go abroad to study and to live, basically. So I applied for the scholarship right after graduating from high school. It, so that was to study chemical engineering in Korea, in South Korea, basically, not Korea.
Uh-huh.
So I was there for a decade doing my diploma degree and also master degree. And I worked there as well for about a year and a half before I went back to Malaysia. Yeah, so basically I was very fascinated with different life and experience, and I was always fond of traveling as well. So yeah, so going abroad to study was like one of the dream come true kind of thing. Yeah.
Yes. So, but there is a point in here. You from Malaysia. Did you speak Korean before you go there, or you had to learn while you studying?
I had to learn while I was studying, so I was put under an intensive Korean course for about 18 months before I was able to actually converse and also study in Korean.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Oh, and did you feel confident to go there, knowing that you didn't know the language, that you would be able to learn quickly and study? How was your
Well,
perception of this kind of challenge that you had?
well, it was definitely challenging because it was a completely new language to me. But then I was pretty young. I was like 17 when I left and go to Korea. So yeah, I was like very, very driven to learn. So I think it was about in 2 4 months I was able to converse. Yeah,
So very dedicated to the,
but it was because I was immersed in that environment as well. Back
okay.
then in 2003, early 2000s, Koreans basically don't speak English,
Mhm.
as opposed to now, younger people they do converse in English. Yeah.
Yes. So, and by that time that you went to Korea, did you have a big Malay community living in Korea that you could get support?
Yes, I did. So actually, because I was under the scholarship, so my batch, we have like 70 students that
Mm-hmm.
goes together and we live in the same hostel.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, basically we still live among the Malaysian. Yeah.
And how was for you to hold your tongue to not speaking Malay all the time, as
Oh, we
you had to
do.
learn the Korean?
We do. We speak Malay and English to each other, but I try to make more Korean friends and speak
Okay.
Korean.
Okay.
Yeah.
So leaving Malaysia to go to Korea to study, what now you recognize were the barriers for you that you saw as a newcomer to Korea?
Yeah, so the main barrier was that the community there was very conservative, and because they are a single race nation, so
Mm-hmm.
mainly consists of Korean people, it's a little bit hard for foreigners to penetrate or to be a part of their culture. But that doesn't stop you from getting to know them because they are still people, you see. Yeah, I find that if you are you're genuine in making friends, in getting to know people, I think you will be able to get through that barrier. So the main barrier that I faced was mainly culture difference. Yeah, huge one.
Yeah, what main culture difference that you saw that you felt that was a big barrier for you?
So Korea is a very hierarchical community. So in the society, if you are 1 year older than me, I will not be able to be your friend. And, and I
Um,
will only be able to be like your junior. So they would not allow me to call their names. And I will have to refer to them as my senior. So that kind of thing sort of exists. And it's coming from Malaysia. Although we do have that kind of hierarchical society thing, but it is not so prominent. But in Korea, it is like a couple of months difference in your birthday just defines you as a younger person.
yes.
So yeah, it was hard in the beginning, but then the older people tend to look after the younger as well. So
Okay.
there are pros and cons, yeah, in both, I guess.
So they come as like a mentor for you, help
Yeah,
you.
they do. They do, yeah. But in the opposite, like they also demand you to listen to them.
And obey.
Yeah, and obey. Yeah.
Right. Okay, so very interesting. Something that I didn't know about.
Yeah.
So do you know if nowadays it's still the same as when you were there before, or things have changed as we have more a globalized world?
Yeah, I definitely have changed a lot. The last time I went back in 2016 and lived there for a year. Um, it was I would say um modernized, a lot more different. so they are more open in
Mhm.
accepting foreigners, and you can see that there are many mixed family as well, as opposed to when I first arrived. Yeah.
Okay. So as a single girl, a young girl going to Korea and going through university, your studies and everything, how was life as a young girl?
Well, it is. I mean, first thing, language was the barrier. Barrier. It was tough, but um, well, because we come with a group of students, so we get a lot of support, and you're under scholarship, so there was pressure to keep up. So yeah, so I was able to focus in that sense to study.
Mhm.
And yeah, the cultural differences we eventually are able to I was able to blend in pretty well with the Korean community, I would say. So um yeah, I think one thing that got me through was that I always try to have an open mind.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, and I was very young as well. So yeah, I sort of I have to just go with the flow, when they have that hierarchical thing going on. It is, as long as it's not too um not doing any harm to me, I will just follow.
Yes.
So
So,
yeah, so sometimes you have to juggle to survive, I guess.
and how was the difference between the cultural in food, right? Because in Malaysia you have very distinct like three main types of
Different.
ethnicities,
Yeah.
so that you have lots of different foods in there and different curries and different beautiful and it's how you can
Oh,
say the rubs and all the spices and everything.
yes, yes.
Going to Korea, how was for you to get used to eat the food in there?
Well, initially it was really difficult because they eat kimchi all the time, and that is something that you know you need to have the acquired taste for it. But I mean, like now I sort of like it, and I eat it every now and then, even though I'm not living in Korea. But back then when I started, so when I went abroad to study, um, I packed a lot of food from Malaysia. Yeah,
As a typical newcomer, right? So you
I
always
know.
bring things along. We
You
go
bring
with an
curry
empty
powder,
suitcase
everything.
and come back.
Yeah.
Yes. So do you have a chance, like while you're studying there, to go back to Malaysia as often, like once a year, or you just had to finish everything and then come back? How was
I I go back every year, I would say, almost every year during
Mhm.
the winter to escape the cold.
The cold? Okay. So
Yeah.
used to humidity in the hot weather, right?
Yeah. But the cold weather is it's like really cold, down to, I think the coldest I've experienced was -20.
Oh,
And coming from a tropical country, that's no good.
that's right.
Yeah.
So looking at your history, working history, and I saw that you have been in Thailand too.
Yeah, I was working with the Thailand headquarters,
Mhm.
but I was based in KL, Malaysia. So
Okay.
that is actually a under Samsung Chemical.
Okay.
I often travel to Bangkok because the headquarters there. Yeah.
So now comes to the career part. So going to get this scholarship to go to Korea, did you get anything that was in front of you, or making a decision to do chemical engineering was something that you thought from the beginning?
No, so my passion was chemistry, and
Mhm.
I wanted to do pharmacy. But that was like when I was 17, 18. I have got tons of dreams. So one of it was to do pharmacy, but because well, because I got the scholarship and I did not want to let it go. I have five siblings, and I would, rather not burden my family for
Mhm.
my education. So I decided to just go for it and do something that has got chemistry in it.
Oh,
So that chemical engineering, yeah. But it turns
yeah.
out well because I sort of like it as well.
Yeah. So you did, and as a good engineer, you have done lots of process engineering as well, right?
Yep, yep,
And
I did.
so let's talk about this little step that you made to go towards what you want, and then working where you are right now, doing what you said to me before, that is something that you wanted to
Yep,
try. So going from the diploma in chemistry, and then you went to chemical engineering as a degree,
yep,
right? And then you did your master's in chemical engineering. So
yes.
tell us, what kind of works have you done, and companies that you have worked for, using your skills and qualifications in that time?
So I worked in many different fields, although all of them are basically they are in the same, I would say, area, but quite different. So after graduated, I worked for Samsung Shale Industry, which is currently, I think, acquired by LG.
Mhm,
So with that company itself is also called Samsung Chemical. So I work for them in Korea itself under the to develop materials for the electronics like TV
mhm,
and speakers. So speakers actually they try to develop materials that mimic, say, wood to make the special sound or surround that we want. So I was doing that kind of job. And
mhm,
after that, they dispatched me back to Malaysia in
mhm.
similar field. But on top of that, I had to do sales because
Yes.
it's a small office. So you have to sell and you have to do the technical side as well. Um, then it was very routine. I didn't really like it. So I changed my career again. I went into lecturing because I was very into research and development. So in
Mhm,
Malaysia, to do that, it's very hard to find opportunity unless you're working for a university or an institution. So I went into that field where I was able to do development of water treatment material for nitrate removal process. So it's very niche, the thing that I have done. Even when I was doing my master degree, I was doing specifically um, polymer for carbon dioxide removal.
mhm,
So it's like a very niche field. So all along, I've been doing very niche studies and fundamental studies. And on top of that, when I was lecturing, I teach separation processes.
mhm,
So I was always I always wanted to venture into doing process simulation, but
mhm.
because I don't have any experience in the industry besides lecturing, it was not easy to get to where I am now. I consider
Mhm.
myself pretty lucky actually, was offered this job actually. Yeah.
Look, I don't think you are just lucky. I think you acquired so many skills throughout your journey. That is, you show that you can, as you said before, you can face the challenges because you have moved from one to another. And
Yeah.
the basic skills that you have as an engineer, let's say basic, but the baseline for you that to move to another field is there, right? So the principles are there. And you said working with research. So I saw that you have published some papers.
Yeah.
How did you feel as a researcher? Because it's a very, at some point, very lonely life, right? And
It,
you think a
it,
lot, and you sometimes then you want to write something, nothing comes out, and you read, and the frustration of not being able to compose a paragraph. How was for you?
yeah, it was like that as well. So um and the thing is when I was doing research in Malaysia, the funding is very limited.
Mm-hmm,
So in order to write a good publication paper, you need to be able to keep replicating
mm-hmm,
the results that you've got. And because we were not able to get the test result as frequent, it
Mhm.
was it requires a lot of patience, I would say. So over the 4 years, I was only able to publish probably one paper. Yeah.
Mhm.
As compared to in Korea where it was they have the analytical tools like ready in the lab itself. They were able to publish in a very high speed. But then again, like at the moment, because I moved from the fundamental research study now into like sort of in between the commercial and
Mhm.
getting to bring it up to the commercial scale, I feel that the fundamental study is necessary, but it is a lot of them are very time consuming, and it takes like 20 years for a technology to come, to become available. So
And
it
then
is,
disconnects
yeah,
everything.
and like being a researcher, I think that is the toughest thing.
Tell me about it.
Yeah,
I left my research career behind. But the amazing thing with research is everything that you learn through research, the methodology, the way you think, the way you analyze, the way you criticize things, it's so useful for any job that you go, right? So you can quickly put the data together. You can see the patterns where things can be a good data for you or bring some results. So this kind of skills you never lose. To
yeah,
the
that's true. Completely agree. Yeah,
yeah,
I
that
I think currently I'm able to cope with the job as well is because
Mhm.
of what I have learned in the past. So I think that doing research, so what I learned from being a researcher in the past have definitely helped me as well in this current job because this job requires a lot of theoretical understanding and
Mhm.
also requires a lot of analysis and able to match and mix and match things, data collections and all that. So I think that, yeah, because of that, I'm able to pick up fast.
Mhm.
And I'm covering for one of my colleagues that has gone for a holiday for a month. So I basically had to pick up that software within the last month, yeah.
So
But
are
I
you
think
having
because of
fun?
my background is yeah, a little bit of stress, but yeah, all good.
So then let's go about this other migration to decide to come to Australia. Was something that was like a dream or just happened?
It just sort of happened because I've never actually dreamt of coming to Australia. In fact, my sister migrated to Canada, and
Mhm.
if it is not for the weather, I would probably wanted to go there.
It's beautiful.
So yeah, well, coming to Australia mainly is because my husband comes here to study in
Mhm.
do his MBA. Um, so also to get the kids to expose them to different education system.
Mhm.
And yeah, actually, I find that the education system here is a lot more accepting than back home because back home is a lot of classroom learning and it's not suitable for most of my very active kids.
Mhm.
Yeah, so I realized that yeah, so when I was in Malaysia, I have actually contemplated about moving them to private school or to international school to give them the exposure. But
Mhm.
because this opportunity comes along, so I thought, yeah, it would be definitely a good, good chance for us to try getting them into a different,
Yeah.
yeah, education.
And, and
Yeah.
how long have you been in Australia? Was Perth your first destination, or you went to a different area in Australia and came to Perth?
No, Perth is the first place, and I came almost a year ago, almost a year, 16th of April, so 10 days away.
Oh, you're celebrating your 1 year anniversary here. Anticipated.
Yeah.
So, and now that you came here, as your husband is studying, how is for you comparing the two migration journeys that you had. One, you were younger, going to a different place and learning a new language. Coming to Australia, you had the background in English already. So how can you compare the difference and similarities between the two journeys?
Well, I think first of all, the similarity would be it is going away from my home country.
Mm-hmm.
So I do feel a little homesick, but then with the technology, it's not too bad. And Perth is not too far from Malaysia as well.
Okay.
It's just 5 hours, 6 hours flight. So, um, but the difference would be, I think when I was younger, I didn't have to plan much because I was on my own. And I basically just go with the flow. Like I get into the university, I study, and I worked as well part time,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, get to know the people, just enjoying life basically. And as for now that I have a family and migrating, it's like a big project.
Oh,
It's
yes.
like yes, like moving houses, planning which school to send them, and did a lot of research in the suburbs to get to know which suburb is safe and so on. And I must thank Facebook for this. They have a lot of great groups,
Mm-hmm.
community groups that allow me to get all this information from. So yeah, I was able to plan out for schools and house pretty well. Yeah, so it is different because you come with a of course, like the similarity would also be I go there with a goal. I went to Korea with a goal that I will finish my university and so on and so forth. And here I came here with the goal of settling my family down. If they like it here, we would definitely continue living here,
Mm-hmm.
and also to get back into workforce because from all I know in Malaysia, the age sort of can be an obstacle to get back into the workforce. Now that I have actually taken a career break from the technical field for about 7 years.
Mm.
So from Malaysia in Malaysia, it is almost impossible to get back to the technical field unless I go into different field that don't require much experience.
Mm-hmm.
So but on the other hand, Australia has, I think it's a land of opportunity in that sense because like now I can be one of the more senior person in my company, but um, but people don't see it like that. Like it's all right, you can learn as long as you want to. And there are actually I've got a couple more job offers after I got this one.
It's always this way.
Yeah. So yeah, it's always this way.
Good
That's
for
true.
the ego, right? I said, oh,
Yeah,
I
but
am good.
so I feel like they at least they allow me to like I don't mind starting off even entry level, but at least they allow you to get into your own field if
Yes,
you get into the right network, I guess.
that's
Yeah.
right. So, Ishi, let's go back then to the time when you migrate here. So you had the goal to settle your family well. When did you start looking for jobs?
Um, I started looking for jobs not very actively when after I first came because
Mhm.
my youngest daughter was still 4. So now
Mhm.
she's in kindy. So
Mhm.
I actively looked for job after I went to the workshop. And yeah, and
But did you apply for any? Sorry, did you apply for any job before you came to the workshop or not?
yes, I did, but I was like I applied for one or two, and then I stopped. Like I got one interview I attended, and I actually got a few job offer before that, but it was not what I want
Mhm.
because it was lab work and they require shift. It doesn't really fit my lifestyle. I remember you saying in the workshop that job is not just a job, it's also your lifestyle.
Yes.
And yeah, that sort of woken me up. And yeah, I finally was able to break things down and get to know what I really want and what suits me. And
Mhm.
thereafter, I think during November, end of November, December, and January, although the market was slow, I applied more jobs during that time.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah, I remember when you mentioned that you got a job, the job that you wanted. That is exactly what you are doing now. You are a lithium process engineer. So
Yeah.
explain to us, what is that? What do you do?
So it is pretty new to me. I was expecting to do general process engineer work because initially I thought that those kind of field are very niche and they require very specific software to run a simulation. So, but I was given the opportunity to learn here in this company. And what I currently do is after, the process that is after mining, where you are breaking up the lithium in order to make it useful in the battery.
Mhm.
So it went from mining into let's say a plant to process the lithium to make it useful in the battery grade.
Mhm.
So I design basically that process right
Mhm.
now. Yeah. So based on different kind of source that you get, different stones, different mines, all the compositions are different. So yeah,
Mhm.
we design that process.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exciting. So, and how you see yourself now in Australia as compared to anywhere in Malaysia, that despite you are in your own country and the opportunities are less and more challenging, and coming to a different country where you are a newcomer, despite you have been away with a big gap in your career and you could come back. So how do you feel about this?
Well, I feel very blessed.
Mhm.
Yeah, very lucky. And yeah, I think I think that I mean there are probably opportunity in Malaysia as well, but here is definitely more abundant because they have huge mining um, industry here. Even oil and gas are pretty big. So it's to my favor because I'm a chemical engineer, right?
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right. So let's do a comparison now regarding migrating from jobs to jobs. Because normally what we think about migration is when you move to a new country or to a new city. But you had both moving countries, cities, and jobs,
Yeah.
right? So careers or jobs inside of your career. So what do you believe can be compared as similar journey as moving from a job to another and from a country to another? What things that come to your mind that says is the same barriers or obstacles or good things?
Yeah, I think migrating is a big thing because it people always think that it's all grass is greener on the other side, but it's not always beds of roses. So I think because I have been through that quite many times since I was young, like going from another country to study, and I moved from technical field to sales to back to R&D and so on. So I think that um, I think that migrating, first of all, the first similarity between migrating between jobs or between countries is that we are looking for something more exciting ahead and hoping that it's more exciting,
Mhm.
but also not to forget that it's more challenging because it's always difficult to change. But change is the only constant thing that happens in life, I guess.
That's
So
right.
yeah, I find that migrating from country to country is as difficult as migrating from I mean, yeah, migrating from job to job is as difficult as migrating from country to country, I would say. Yeah. It needs a lot of passion as well to
Mhm.
do that. Yeah.
And especially because when you said about the culture, right? So going to a new organization, to a new job, you are going to a new culture because their organization, they have their own culture, the way they work, the way they process all
Yes.
their activities. So you need to get used to that. You need to learn. So now in the new job, how much have you been learning?
Well, again, I'm very well. I think that um, I have worked in different company with different people. Like I've worked in Korea before. They have a completely different culture, and I've worked in Malaysia as well. And then coming here makes me feel like it is a very globalized place because we have people from all over the world working in the same office.
Mhm.
So it is a very mixed culture, I would say, but people are very inclusive and acceptant in that sense. And they're willing to help, but it also takes you to have to be proactive to ask as well if you need help. Yeah.
Yes. So we talked about the barriers you're moving from um, Malaysia to Korea. And how was for you, or what were the barriers moving from Malaysia to Australia? Did you see any? Did you face any? Or how is for you now? How is your perception of moving after moving to Korea? That was very different. Coming to Australia probably was a breeze for you, but some differences as well.
There are actually, um, I have experienced difficulty as well initially when I moved here because I realized that they don't understand our names. And I had issues with names. I know many people had issues with name. I came, they just put my name, Chan Yi Shi, as my last name. So I was a no name in the visa. So when I was taking my driver's license, basically I was not able to do that because my name was different. So I went through a long process, um, and everything in Australia. I'm not sure if everywhere else is the same, but in Australia, most of the processes take up to 28 days, and it is very long to wait. So yeah, I went through that, and now I sort of get used to the waiting period. But
Mhm.
when we first came, it was so tough because without the driver's license, I couldn't do many things as well.
Yes.
So yeah, so that was one of the main thing that I think if anyone is migrating, get the name sorted out properly
Mhm.
because otherwise you're gonna go through a lot of trouble. Yeah.
That's right. So you touched the base in something that is very common for newcomers. Sometimes they think they need to anglicize their names also to be included or accepted here because people don't know how to say my name. So
Yeah.
did you, at any point, did you think about this, like anglicizing your name?
No, I thought my name sounds easy to pronounce.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I didn't really change or adopt any name, but I met many of my friends who does so. Because people just don't get their names right, and some of the names are really hard to pronounce. So honestly, it's a good move to adopt a different name.
Yeah, normally what I say to people is like me, my name is long, and in Australia or any country, cannot pronounce the name because it's very indigenous name in Brazil. And in
Okay.
Brazil, we pronounce right, but outside of Brazil, people don't know how to pronounce. So, but I adopted my nickname that is part of my name, right? So, if I say my name is Iracema, so people say Aracema, they read and they get stuck there. They cannot even say anything. And as I was using in Brazil, people call me Cema anyway, or Semita or Semitita. So I adopt Cema, and Cema is my name. the only people that know me by my full name is the migration, let's say that my register is in there, and the bank. Everyone else knows me, as Cema.
Yeah.
So it's easier, but it's still me. That's the
Yes,
point. And
right.
they say if you can get something out of your name that is easy for people to read and to pronounce, it's still you. And then you feel that you don't have to change. You didn't have to change your identity, right?
Yeah.
So because you have a new name that you've never been called that way, and then suddenly people start calling you that name, is you probably having another identity to you.
My
Yeah.
son as well, he has got a really long name, but
Mm-hmm.
his name starts with Mo. So he's basically go by Mo.
By
So
more.
it's easy. Yeah, just
Yeah,
Mo.
that's it, but
Yeah.
it's still him, right?
That's what we call him as well. We don't really call him long name. So
It's something that
yeah.
we never think about later on in life, right? What
Yeah.
happens? Okay, so Ishi, and then working now in Australia, having more experience about the Australian culture, what you have learned until now to the point when before you came here is something different? Did you have any preconception of Australian culture, and now that you are more immersed working and having your kids at school, how you see your perception now about the Australian culture?
I think like I didn't know much about Australian culture before coming here. So I think that I'm not sure if this is right, but this is just what I feel. I feel that the Australian culture is very family oriented.
Mm-hmm.
As per yeah, so people appreciate their family time and they don't appreciate people interrupting their family time.
That's right.
Especially like even my workplace, my boss is very particular with not working after working time hours.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that kind of things um carry small weight here as opposed to in the Asian country. Yeah.
Yeah, we work a
And I
lot
think yeah, we work a lot. I mean,
after
I
hours.
still work more. Yeah, I'm just still used to the Asian working culture. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's good. It's all good. I think that it's a lot more balanced here.
That's right. So is that one thing that we discuss when you have the Australian workplace culture, the similarities and differences of the workplace culture back home and here, and countries as Malaysia, as South American and African countries, where the hierarchy of the boss is everything. So
Yeah.
in some countries, we cannot, even in Brazil, the time when I was there, you cannot leave the job, your work before the boss. The boss,
Yeah. In Korea too.
right? So you need to wait, and you need to also, you cannot sit on the same table, or you cannot frequently like go to the same
Wow.
places. So it's a very different hierarchy in every aspect, not just at work. So in Australia, it's more egalitarian, and things
Yep.
yeah, and people acceptance is much possible here. Acceptance who
Yeah,
you are. Yeah.
definitely.
So, coming, as you mentioned, coming to Australia as a family, you had to, it's a big goal, a big plan. So, let's get to the point now where I would like to know your advice. And you have the experience of both, like migrating by yourself and migrating with family. So, for newcomers who are here and have been desiring to reconnect with their career in Australia, even if they have a gap in their career or resume, what advice would you give to them about their life and career in Australia that they need to look forward, or they probably can look forward?
Well, I think that actually I've learned a lot from the workshop, honestly. So the main thing that I picked up from there is to have a very clear goal, and and then that goal has to be transpired in your resume and your cover letter. Like actually, I'm changing my career as well in that sense, although I'm still in the same field from a researcher into a process engineer. So what I did is that I write the cover letter showing that how passionate I was in that field and what I can bring to get there. And I think if you have all those things clearly listed out, that will really work well for you. And also, I think one more thing that I did in between is to get in touch with people on LinkedIn. I know sometimes it is like spamming people. Like I actually get in touch with several HR recruiter from the company that I want to work with, and some of them are very friendly. They connected me to the right person, and I told you that I got feedback from them. But after I got this job, so I was able to also I tried not to be shy as well. I call them. Yeah, so I do what I can to. I think I think here you human networking is very important. Like just by applying job on the internet has very low chance of you making it.
That's right.
So yeah,
And people don't know you. Is a question that people, I'm glad that you talked about the networking situation, because many people think it's just about Australia having this kind of networking that you need to know people, you need to know someone to give you a job. But it's not only that, right? So, of course, you did your diligent work to contact people that are crucial for you to get in touch. All right. So, and put
yes,
yourself out there, not being shy, and being able to show who you are, and the contribution that you can bring to the organization makes a huge difference when you just contact someone to say that you don't have a job, that you want a job. It makes a
yeah,
huge difference,
yes,
right?
that's true. That's true.
So they see you differently because they see you with the potential, instead of begging for a job because you are just someone who migrates and cannot find their feet in
Yeah,
Australia. Yeah, so well done. I'm proud of you. Yeah. You got the homework done.
yeah.
Well done, well done.
Times, but I did my homework.
Yeah. And how was and the advice that I would give to someone who wants to come to Australia, or someone who could be single, or someone who comes as a family. You have the two. So what advice would you give to someone who is outside of Australia? What they should do before they come?
Well, I think if you are single, and you're still young, I think it is worth to just explore. But if you are coming with a family, I think taking a trip. Actually, we took about 2 trips to Perth before we decided to move here.
Mhm.
So yeah, take a trip with your family to see the place and see if you actually can see yourself living in this place and actually liking it. I think that helps, and definitely do a lot of research before you come. Be it how to sit for a driving test, or all those things that might be very small, but it's very different here. The regulations are different. I would say it's very well regulated country.
Yes.
So, yeah, those things are important, like um, to know before coming. And then you get bombarded by all these things that you don't know, then it will be a culture shock, right? So it's always good to have an idea of how that country function,
Mhm.
and how minimum at the minimum just get to know what other culture there. Yeah.
That's right. So I'm adding something here from this new episode. Is something that I had an idea to ask before, but I didn't. So now it's time with you, Ishi.
Yeah.
Um, what is your favorite dish back home?
Nasi lemak.
Ah,
It's coconut rice with dry chili, with anchovies and peanut and cucumber. So it's a very wholesome, yeah, aromatic meal.
okay. Well done. So what can I barbecue it or not? It's just something that is
Well, you probably can't barbecue that. maybe you can try put it in a pot with coconut milk, rice and coconut milk.
Uh,
Can you barbecue that?
maybe. I need to see all the ingredients. I can make everything,
Oh, but
anything in the bar.
you can barbecue the chicken though. We can,
That's right.
yeah, we can make the Malaysian style spiced chicken.
Like the
Yeah,
satay. Yeah.
yeah.
So would you like to share this? So write a recipe. I can add to
Okay.
this video so people have something from Malaysia that when they prepare, they say, "Oh, I learned this from Ishi."
Okay, I will. I will write you the recipe.
Oh, wonderful. So it's something new, guys, that I'm just adding. Was initial idea that I would love to do as barbecue and guests, but now I'm getting the recipes. That's it. So it's a challenge. So thank you very much, Ishi, for your for sharing your experience with us and sharing your journey. Very essential for people to see that they can do whatever they want to do when they put the right thought and they are prepared to do it, take the challenge. And the risk is always calculated. Sometimes you cannot control the risk, but it's possible to calculate the risk. And knowing where you are going, where you want to be, and put your ideas in there, right? So, and you gave a very clear direction in this. Well done. So thank you very much, Ishi. And
Thank you.
and blessings, and thank you very much for everyone watching this fourth episode of the Life Career Roadmap for Newcomers. See you next. Bye bye.